Hello again, friends, and welcome to another segment here on Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. Welcome to late July. I've been away for a little bit. Been busy with this, that, and the other thing, trying to stay cool in the heat waves we've been having here in the month of July. So today, I'd like to take a little pause and share with you some of the great rosés that I have in my cellar, because I figure we have been drinking a lot of great rosés lately with the warm weather. Perfect time to have them. Great summer sippers, great for food pairings that you have in the summer, and just great all over. So if you remember, I've been covering some white wines, I've been covering some reds, but I figured here in the middle of the summer I didn't want to do either one of those. So I'm going to feature a spot here today, very brief. I'm not going to talk much about rosés. I've done a few spots in the past about rosés. One of my favorite wines for the summer. I'd like to drink rosés all year, but now is the peak time to enjoy a good rosé. So let me pour a glass from one that I have here, which I'll talk about in a minute. And you notice it's not a bubbly, but it is a bubbly, and I'm going to talk about that to explain how you can get a bubbly without having to pop a cork. So cheers and welcome. The bubbles aren't quite the same. This is a carbonated red wine, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. But let me talk about, to get us started, there's a number of bottles that I have here on the table. I'm certainly not prepared as one individual. This is a party on the table here. I'd need about 6 or 7 partners here to help put these away. But I do want to share them with you, talk about them, take you around the world, and take you through the different kind of grapes that can become rosé, because that's all very important to the conversation today. So the general idea with rosés is that they're red wines that have been pressed in generally 2 different ways. So this is the education point today. When you talk about making rosé wine, it is generally done in 2 methods. One of them is called maceration, or the saignée method, which saignée is the French word for bleeding. So what they do is they destem, they crush the grapes. There's some skin contact from a couple hours to maybe 24 hours, and that makes what is called your typical macerated rosé, or saignée method rosé. The second method, the most common method, is a direct press. And in the direct press method, the grapes are just pressed very gently. There's a free run. If you remember from past conversations we've had, whenever you squeeze a grape, the liquid comes out clear. Red wine doesn't. Red wine does not bleed red juice. It bleeds juice that has a very light tint, but it's certainly not red. It gets its red color from the skin contact and the aging that it goes through. So those direct press style wines are generally tend to be more pale. They're not as dark. The saignée method leaves a little bit more time for the grape skin color to leach into the liquid that free runs off the wine. So there you have it. That's rosé. I do not know of a rosé that's put in an oak barrel. It's steel, aged very little. Might be stirred on its lees a little bit. But it's generally just a very clean, refreshing wine. And interestingly enough, whatever the grape is, the rosé version of the grape does not really mimic the flavor profile of the red. Because if you remember, a lot of the flavor profile for red wines comes from the skin and the stem contact, and then the aging that goes on. So these red wines tend to evolve a little more. The rosés are just, it's juice, and it's put in, and it's bottled, and boom, that's what you have. So there are a number of different styles that I'll talk through here, through the wines that I have in my cellar. I didn't go out and buy anything special for this presentation, because quite frankly, I keep a healthy supply of rosés around year-round. That's about the educational part. The one thing else I would say is you don't want to keep rosés for more than 3 years maximum. They're very young wines, and they're meant to be sipped and drunk young. So you don't you don't want to age your rosés. I have some that go back maybe to 2023, and they go first. So I kind of rotate them through, and you want to get them out of your cellar and into your glass and on your table ASAP. So the different styles of rosé that you will encounter, as you can see, if you look at the different bottles, and I'm going to walk you through each one of these, each one of them has a little bit of a different color. And I know with a nice sunny day here, you can see some of them tend to be a little bit more pale pink. Some have a dark, almost a ruby color. Some have, like this one has a little bit more of a salmon color. The one in my glass here is almost garnet. So I'm going to take you through each one of these and use each one of these wines as an example of how rosés proliferate across the globe. Every country makes them. Every wine region usually finds a way to bottle a rosé from the red grapes that they grow in the region. So let me start with the one that I poured, because I'm not going to pour these other ones, at least not today. So the first one we have here is a carbonated rosé, and which is another method of using rosés make fantastic sparkling wine. Now this is a shortcut way to make them, and to be honest with you, it's a very fantastic example of a very inexpensive picnic wine. You put it in, it's got a screw cap on it. So this one is from the Finger Lakes. This is from a place called Airy Acres. It's a pleasant sipper. It's not going to get 95 from Wine Spectator anytime soon, but it's also not one that you're going to pour away. You're going to enjoy it with a nice, whatever kind of meal you might be having for some picnic or poolside activity, or just sitting around contemplating the world. So specifically, this one is a carbonated version of rosé. It's a field blend that's 50% Cabernet Franc and 50% Lemberger or Blaufränkisch. It's co-fermented in different barrels in stainless steel, and it's basically a 12.5 ABV, so it drinks dry. You can see it's actually the darkest of the rosés that I have here, but it does have a fizz, and it's actually fantastic. So this comes from the Finger Lakes area near Cayuga Lake. It's an interlocking between Cayuga and Seneca, the east shore of Seneca and the west shore of Cayuga. Great little winery that I highly recommend. Put a little plug in for them if you ever get the chance and you're in upstate New York. Go to Airy Acres. Fantastic people, fantastic wines. So that's our first one. That's the only one that we're going to be sipping here today. So what I'd like to do is walk you through the other ones here. I'm going to keep this spot as short as possible, but I have a rosé for you here. Obviously this is the United States, Finger Lakes. I have one from California, from Paso Robles, one of my favorite areas of California. I have one here from Washington State. I have another one here also from the Finger Lakes, but this is a group winery. They also have a winery in Australia. And I have one of the favorites here. It's one of our house wines. It is a French Provençal style, and I'm going to talk about that one. It's the lightest of all of them, but probably if I had to rate all the rosés here on the table, this one right here, not because of the fancy bottle, this is a fantastic and wonderful wine. So, and all of these in terms of rosés are in the price range, usually 25 and under. If you want a good rosé, I would suggest looking at that price point, 15 to 20. Maybe if you want to get a little more fancy, depending on where it comes from. Well, this one's from Italy. I forgot to mention that. We also have one here from Italy. So you want to get in that price point, 15 to 25, and you'll wind up with a fantastic rosé on your table. So let's begin with ones that are from the United States first. I'd like to talk about this first one here, and what I want you to take notice of is the different red grapes. This is really like a red wine presentation, but oops, we pressed the grapes real quick and we stole some rosé off of them. So this first one is called Côte de Roble Rosé. It's from Eberly. It's a 2024, and it is a Grenache rosé. If you've never had Grenache rosé, you don't know what you're missing. This is a fantastic wine, and the food pairings for rosés are just all over the place. You can If you want to get, if you really want to get a big rosé, you can put a big rosé with a steak. They're great with pizza. They're great with salads. They're great with white meat. They're great with fish. They're great with shellfish. They're great with charcuterie boards. They're great with everything, and they're great alone, which is one of the things that I like about a wine, when you can just have it alone. Now this one, usually I've had other Grenache rosés. This one's very good. It's 13% alcohol by volume, so it's dry. It shows flavors of pink grapefruit and rhubarb, and you wouldn't say that about red Grenache. You just wouldn't. It just doesn't have that flavor profile. But when you do it as a rosé and get it off the skins, it turns into a completely different beverage. So there's our first one, Paso Robles. Shout out to Eberly, 2024 Côte de Roble Grenache. So let's go back and forth here. I was just in Italy, and we found this one. We visited this winery in Italy. I don't want to go off on a tangent here, but this is called Il Corzanello, and this is a 100% Sangiovese rosé. So if you can't get this one, you have to kind of go online to get this one through Moore Brothers. If you can find a Sangiovese rosé anywhere, get it and drink it. These are fantastic. They are the salmon color, the flavor profile is just it's fruity. It's kind of it's a kind of a big rosé. It's actually very good. It's got a little berry on it. Might have a little spice on it, but you wouldn't say that about a Chianti. That's a totally different animal. So here's to Corazono e Paterno. I visited this winery, Il Corazono Rosato. So, and when you, just a side point there, when you think about different things that rosés are called, we call them rosés in French. We just call them rosé in the United States. Some people call them pink wines, but there's also the real dark wines that are almost claret style. I don't have any of those on the table today, but so there you have those three to start, and we have three more. So let's take a little halftime break here. To sit this Erie Acres Cab Franc. I've had Cab Franc rosés beside this one. I've had Lemberger rosés beside this one, and they stand Cabernet Franc rosés, especially from the Finger Lakes. You can get some of them from France. They're fantastic. They have a whole different flavor profile than the Cab Franc, which tends to have a little green pepper, a little bit of oak on it. There's none of that here with this. You would never guess that it's from a Cab Franc. So let's go to our last three. Let's start with one that we had the opportunity to visit the Yakima Valley last year, and this is the 2025 Rosé of Cinsault. And if you are not familiar with Cinsault, it's a French grape, spelled Cinsault. It makes a fantastic rosé. It's in a lot of Côte d'Rône rosé blends, which you find. But this one is 100% Cinsault from the Yakima Valley, made by a winery that we came across called Fortuity Cellars. And they're doing some wonderful things. Look at the wonderful color of that wine. I cannot wait. This one won't last long. It's a 2025. It's probably got 2 more years, so I don't have to rush it. But I can't wait to have some of that Yakima Valley rosé. So there you have it. So far we've got Paso Robles, Yakima Valley, the Finger Lakes, and Italy. And I don't want to leave any area out because you can get good rosé just about anywhere. There's a lot of great rosé in New York. I didn't bring up a rosé from Oregon, but we've had some Pinot Noir rosés from Oregon. You name the red grape, and the rosé from those red grapes is fantastic. If you can get your hands on a Zinfandel rosé, do it. They're fantastic. If you can get your hands on a Pinot Noir rosé, do it. They're fantastic. Even the one grape I don't really like done as a rosé tends to be Cabernet Sauvignon. They just don't. It doesn't work for me. But a lot of these other grapes just are absolutely fantastic. So this next one is a pure Cabernet Franc rosé from a winery in the Finger Lakes called Living Roots, and they have a sister winery in the Adelaide Hills of South Australia. So this shows strawberry, fresh acidity. They're always acidic, excuse me. This is unfined and wild fermented, and this is a little bit darker, and it is a wonderful example. 12.2 ABV, which means it's dry. It is a 2024 from Living Roots. And finally, I wanted to finish with this one because this is a special story. Lovely bottle. My wife and I, as a former French teacher, I decided before I got too old to travel, I wanted to go back to France, and we actually lived in France for 3 weeks in 2019, right before the pandemic. And we were having lunch at a sidewalk restaurant in the town of Lyon, and this bottle came out, and we drank the whole bottle with our lunch, and we were like, oh God, I hope we can find this wine again, because this wine was absolutely fantastic. Well, lo and behold, we did not. And then we traveled to Hilton Head a couple years ago, and we were in a specialty wine shop in Hilton Head Island, and lo and behold, my wife runs over to me with 2 of these in her hand and says, look what we found. And we found our wine, and then I actually went on wine.com, and I have been getting this wonderful wine ever since. So what's so special about this? This is a Provençal style rosé, and I did do some research on it. It doesn't have the 3 grapes, but it does have Grenache and Sanson in it. And just looking at the color of it, without even looking it up, I'm sure this was done on the direct press method, because it is so light. There's no darkness in this at all, but don't let that fool you. It's 12.5 ABV, and it is a aromatic, wonderful, food-friendly, gotta-have rosé. It's probably my favorite rosé here on the table. Chateau, or it's called Push au Argali. If you want to look it up, I'll have a post here so that you can find the rosés. I'll actually put a little, I'll add to my spot the 6 wines that I feature here for you today, so that you can go find them. You can find them all. The only one that you probably won't be able to find is the Fortuity wine from Walla Walla, or excuse me, from Yakima, and you might have a hard time finding this dry rosé. But the Il Corazono you can find, Il Corsanello, the Airy Acres they ship, Everly ships, all of the, well, even Fortuity ships. So if you want to spend your money and do a little bit of shipping cost, you can get all of these. I hate to show you wines that I know you can't get, but all of these I know you can get, and you really should if you're a rosé fan. And I know one listener out there is definitely a rosé fan of these, and I hope that she finds some of these real soon. So there you have it, my friends. Sunday afternoon in southeastern Pennsylvania, late July, sipping rosé, having a chat with you. What could be better? I don't know what it is, so cheers, and we'll see you next time.